Hello, everybody. Welcome to day 8 of All About That Place. Today we're looking at food and shopping, two of my favourite subjects. So we would like you to start thinking about local food stuff. So, are there any foods that are particularly specific to the place you're looking at? And were there any foods that were particularly traditional to be eaten at sort of certain times? Was there a Christmas dish or a May dish or foodstuffs that were perhaps eaten around harvest time in your area? So any sort of local food, if there's anything that's very specific to your area, then do make a note of that. And also we want to think a little bit about local shopping as well. Were there any shops in your place at all? If there weren't, where would your ancestors have done their shopping? Would they have gone to a market somewhere else? Was there a market and shops in your place? And what kind of shops were they? Were they selling sort of particular local goods? Did you have just a handful of shops, or were they the sort of shops that were perhaps selling things like hats, where somebody might have perhaps travelled in from nearby areas to visit? So Natalie shared her screen, so she's got a few prompts on here. I don't know if you want to run through those, Natalie, to give people an idea about what they might discover.
Yeah, sure. So the prompts really are they're kind of prompting you to think about the social history of food and shopping within your place. So how did what you eat, where you ate, when you ate, how did that vary depending on perhaps your wealth or your status or who you are? So landed gents may well have been eating quite differently to their labourer workers, for example. Who gathered in the produce that were used to make food and recipes, who manufactured products, as in food products, and how did they do that, and how did that change over time? So I think food and similarly with shopping, the questions with shopping of a kind of similar kind of nature. Who owned your local shops? Who were your costermongers and street stalls? What were they actually selling? How did your high street perhaps in your place change over time? How did what you buy vary depending on who you were, and how you bought it potentially as well? So they're very much about those kind of social history questions. I think that's probably why food and shopping is such a popular subject to look at, actually, when you come to start looking at history and that kind of social history of what life was like for your ancestors. And I think it's the same in a place today. Got any favourite local foods to you? Because I'm lucky, I'm from Somerset and Dorset, so it's apples and cider and apple pie.
I'm unfortunate in that I've got lots of East End ancestors. So actually fortunate on one end, so I can have sort of pie and mash, which
Eels.
is lovely. But no eels. Yeah, I can't stand the thought of trying eels, even though I know many of my ancestors would have eaten quite a lot of them.
My granddad's a Londoner, and he still loves jellied eels, and talks about memories of his mother preparing eels in the sink ready for eating. So yeah, like you say, it's a real kind of insight, isn't it, into the past?
Yeah, it's an insight I'm going to forgo, I think, that one. But yeah.
Liz, how about you? Any particular foods in your places?
I think whortleberries probably for my Exmoor ancestors would have been a local food. Cider as well. I know the ancestor I've got who lived in my one place study was very partial to a jar or two of cider. So yes, definitely, those sort of good old West Country foods, and cream teas as well.
Yeah.
And the controversy of which is jam or cream first. So all those things can form part of your study.
Yeah, I think one of the things I absolutely love about this subject is that you can actually, almost time travel just by copying a recipe from the past. You go on something like the Internet Archive and look up an old recipe book and then have a go at cooking it yourself, or following one of the war ration recipes, for example, and it really is like time traveling. Okay, well, we hope you really enjoy delving into your food and shopping. Obviously, after watching today's talks, you'll be able to start filling out this task workbook yet again. And we'll be back tomorrow to run through day 9.